I used to think haunted places were just stories, people told to scare each other. Old buildings, ghost stories, urban legends, nothing more. But if you ever see a job listing for night security at Blackwood Mental Asylum, listen to me very carefully. Don't take it. Because 3 nights ago, I did. And what happened inside that building is the reason you're hearing this recording. The asylum has been abandoned for almost 30 years, but on my last night there, I learned something horrifying. The patients never left, and the building doesn't like it when someone new walks in, especially someone who plans to walk back out. My name is Aaron. 3 days ago, I got hired as the night security for the old asylum just outside town. The place is massive, a huge stone building sitting alone in the woods. Broken windows, rusty gates, hallways that stretch forever. My job sounded simple. Walk the halls every hour, check the security cameras, make sure no teenagers break in. That was it. The first 2 nights were boring, just wind pushing old doors and the sound of rats scratching inside the walls. But the 3rd night, that's when the asylum noticed me. Around 1:20 a.m., I was sitting in the control room, watching the camera monitors. Everything looked normal. Then, camera number 12 flickered just for a second. When the image came back, I saw something moving down the hallway, a wheelchair, slowly rolling toward the camera. No one pushing it, just moving by itself. I stared at the screen for a few seconds, trying to convince myself I was imagining it. Then I grabbed my flashlight and went to check. But when I reached the hallway, the wheelchair was gone, and the floor was wet, like something heavy had been dragged across it. A trail of water stretched down the hall, leading straight to room 214. That's when I heard it, breathing inside the room. I slowly approached the door. I opened it. The room was empty, just a broken hospital bed and rusty chains hanging from the wall. But the breathing was still there, slow, right behind me. Then, suddenly, a whisper came from beside my ear. "You're not one of the doctors." I spun around instantly. No one. Then, suddenly, the hallway lights went out, and for a moment, the entire building was silent. By 2:10 a.m., I was already on edge, but I told myself the place was just old. Pipes, wind, my imagination. Then I heard something else, crying, soft, like a child. The sound was coming from one of the old isolation cells. The door was chained shut, but the crying was definitely inside. I lifted my flashlight and looked through the small window. At first, there was nothing. Then, something slowly moved into the beam of light. A face, a woman's face, her eyes completely black. She pressed her forehead against the glass and whispered softly, "They said the guards would save us." Then she started screaming. The sound was so loud, I dropped my flashlight. When I looked again, the cell was empty. By 3 a.m., I was ready to quit, but the worst moment hadn't even happened yet. I was walking past the old surgery wing when I noticed something strange. A light was on inside the operating room. That was impossible. There was no electricity in that part of the building. I peeped inside through the glass pane of the door. Inside the room, a man stood over the operating table, wearing an old doctor's coat, His back was turned toward me. His hands were moving like he was performing surgery, but the table was empty. Then he suddenly stopped. Without turning around, he spoke. "The patients need new bodies." Then his head twisted backward all the way around until his face was staring directly at me. Then the light went out. I ran straight back toward the control room, but as I ran, I heard footsteps behind me, slow, dragging. Whenever I turned around, nothing. Then I heard something worse, more footsteps from every hallway, like dozens of people walking toward me. At the end of one corridor, I finally saw them. Patients, a group of them, standing in the dark. Their hospital gowns were torn. One of them still had metal restraints hanging from his wrists, their eyes completely black. Then they started walking toward me. I ran into the control room and locked the door. My hands were shaking as I checked the cameras. Every hallway was full of them, patients standing silently, watching, waiting. Then, suddenly, every monitor changed. All 32 cameras switched to the same image, room 214. And inside that room, I saw myself, standing there, looking into the camera. But my face looked wrong, like something else was wearing it. That's when I understood the truth. Blackwood Asylum didn't just trap the patients, it trapped everyone who worked there. Doctors, nurses, security guards. The building keeps them forever. My radio suddenly crackled. A whisper came through. "Room 214 is ready." Then the control room door slowly unlocked. The door opened just a little, and I saw them, the same ghostly patients staring at me. Hands reached through the doorway, cold, rotting, pulling me into the hallway. I screamed, but the building swallowed the sound. The last thing I saw was the wheelchair from earlier, waiting outside room 214. They forced me into it and pushed me inside the room. Then everything went dark. The next morning, a new security guard arrived for his shift. When he checked the cameras, everything looked normal. Empty halls, broken rooms, no patients, except for one thing. In room 214, a security guard was sitting in a wheelchair, facing the camera, smiling. And every night, the wheelchair moves a little closer to the door. So if you ever see a job listing for night security at Blackwood Asylum, remember this story, because once you enter that building, you don't just work there, you become one of the patients. And someday, someone else will see you sitting in that wheelchair, waiting for the next guard to arrive. Until next time, stay safe and sweet nightmares.